This headline here is Aerospace executive absolutely convinced there are aliens on Earth. And this was posted in the Slack chat. Thank God for the Slack chat. If you want to join, just give us an email at ourbigdumbmouth@gmail.com. And a bunch of listeners in there sharing stories and cursing at each other. It's very fun.
Offering dating advice.
Offering dating advice that's probably not the best, but who knows?
It's all good, though.
Aerospace executive absolutely convinced there are aliens on Earth. In an eye-opening interview on 60 Minutes Sunday night, aerospace mogul and entrepreneur Robert Bigelow said he was absolutely convinced there were alien visitors on Earth. Most of the segment focused on how NASA and the Las Vegas-based Bigelow Aerospace are in a partnership to develop an expandable spacecraft for humans to use in space. Bigelow's far-reaching vision puts him right in the middle of a new privatization of space, a race that includes billionaire Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos.
Is there proof for any of this?
What do you mean?
I love the idea. This sounds great.
Well, they have a video here about how his spacecraft works, but I'm more concerned about why he believes aliens are on Earth.
Yeah, why are they? And how does he know? And where are they? Are they building the spacecraft?
I don't know. Well, here's a little excerpt between Logan and the interviewer and Bigelow. And Logan asked, "Do you believe in aliens?" "I'm absolutely convinced. That's all there is to it." "Do you believe that UFOs have come to Earth?" "There has been and is an existing presence, an ET presence. I spent millions and millions and millions. I probably spent more than any individual has in the United States on this subject. Is it risky for you to say in public that you believe in UFOs and aliens?" "I don't give a damn. I don't care." "You don't worry that some people will say, 'Did you hear that guy? He sounds like he's crazy.'" "I don't care. It's not going to make a difference. It's not going to change reality of what I know."
Wow.
This guy's convinced. And this guy is a billionaire building space material, spacecraft for NASA. So this guy, billionaire, is actively making spacecraft for NASA, believes UFOs and aliens are here. What does he know that we don't?
And I think, haven't we seen like a bajillion stories of dead astronauts or dying astronauts who kind of admit in their late stages of life that they're like, "Oh, fuck yeah, we saw them all the time."
Yeah, there's Edgar Mitchell will go on record about it. Bigelow wouldn't elaborate on what kind of results that he had achieved from his well-funded UFO research. I don't know about his well-funded research. In fact, I probably should look that up. But when asked if he thought future space missions would result in any encounters between humans and aliens, Bigelow said, "You don't have to go anywhere. It's just like right under people's noses."
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
What does he know? Why is he so confident in his response?
I love the idea that there's like these shape-shifting or sort of aliens are walking among us, like maybe they're interdimensional or who the hell knows what he's talking about. But I just love that he's just so... Anybody who's that confident in something is either crazy or unafraid to speak his mind. So
here's a clip.
Or both.
NASA and government still has a role because it's still in a sort of embryonic stage. And there will come a time when it's not necessary at all. And the commercial world will absolutely be the leader for everything in space.
But what about the idea of national pride and what we do as nations, of Neil Armstrong walking
That's
on the
so
moon?
dumb. Jesus, can you pause it right there?
Yeah.
I just find... Who is it? What is this network?
This is CBS 60 Minutes.
So what about national pride? What a dumb fucking question. What a dumb fucking question. Like, oh, we did it as Americans on Earth. What about like as Earthlings, we figured out how to get into space and interact with other species. What the fuck is wrong with this person?
Why does it matter which nation does it or if there's national pride? This should be human pride. It should be. It shouldn't matter what nation does it. It should only matter that us as humans together, one of us, or hopefully a group of us, can leave the planet, colonize, and continue on and create a better future for everyone.
So that we could get away from all these people who are so focused on nationality and ideology and race and all this other shit. Let's get the fun. I don't want to be around this shit anymore, and this CBS reporter should be fired immediately.
Well, let's finish this up.
That's a private company. He did that for the United States of America, and it meant something.
You bet it did. And that created a period of inspiration that hasn't been matched ever since. So now we're looking for a new era that says, all right, how can we now shape this to where it's more accessible for a lot more folks at a lot less cost and still have safety and reliability at the same time?
I agree with them. And in this article, Bigelow, there's a little bit different background on him. He described a UFO encounter his grandparents had on an undisclosed date while driving on a canyon road outside Las Vegas. He said it really sped up and came right into their face and filled up their entire windshield of their car. It took off at a right angle and shot off into the distance. He told a reporter, Laura Logan, it began an obsession with him with UFOs and aliens, and the reason behind his alien logo for Bigelow Aerospace. This guy's passionate about this, and I had a call a day or two ago from a listener in the UK. He contacted me, and he had his own stories about UFO encounters, and I'm still trying to figure out what to do with the audio or if we have him on the program again. But he experienced a lot of tragedy, has some very interesting footage. When I talk with him, he was very convincing in detail. This guy, very smart. You can what he does with his life takes a lot of intelligence. I don't think he was giving me some kind of put on. And so what he told me, there's a lot of tragedy with with a child he had, and then an older relative. And Bigelow recounting that his grandparents encountered UFO and aliens, and listening to the conversation I had with this person on the phone from the UK, is that my understanding with UFO and alien encounters is sometimes when one person in the family or one generation encounters UFO, it's more likely that the next generation will also encounter a UFO and alien. It's almost like if they are an alien presence, that they keep track of a lineage, a bloodline, and not necessarily random encounters.
Yeah, you could say the same thing about black people and dogs, Like, back in the 60s and everything else, like black people were tormented with dogs, and now people are people in the black community, as in our experience, have this irrational fear of dogs. We walk our dog past black people, they're all freaking out. Walk them by any other race, don't mean to be racist, I'm just saying. So you could also raise your kids to believe aliens are everywhere.
Yeah, very, very, very true. I'll end this little segment with this last little bit from this article that Bigelow, this guy from Bigelow Aerospace, the business guru also revealed being a subscriber to the widely held conspiracy theory that the U.S. government and others across the globe know that aliens are here on Earth and even interact with them, but is all kept top secret from the public amid fears over the impact it would have on religion and the rule of law. I don't buy that anymore. I think people, if it's there and it's real, I don't think people's religion is going to be affected that much, and the rule of law is always going to be there because people don't want to be shot over martial law.
So wait, are they making the argument that if people are aware of this stuff, like it's just going to pull the whole thing down?
Possibly. I think it all has to do with technology. If we're interacting with aliens, it's got to do with technology. It's got to do with free technology. It's got to do with economic changing technology and destroying fossil fuel. And we're talking about some pretty serious shit here.
I don't know. I'm one of those more of the pull the Band-Aid off type people rather than take it off slow.
I am too. At this point, I definitely am. So what are they hiding? If this is real, what does this guy know? He spent millions on UFO research. I'd love to talk to him.
WikiLeaks kind of pisses me off for this reason, where it's like, well, I guess they do want to vet it and make sure that it's not fake and everything. So they probably do have some kind of a process. But for people like Kim.com who are like, oh, I have the evidence and all this, just put it out there, dude. Just stop. I don't know. Like, what are you afraid of? You already said a bunch of stuff that would get you into trouble. So just put it out there. Who cares?
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the only reason
put out the screenshots.
Yeah. The only reason you would announce something before you do it is because you want to become a celebrity. Because you want extra attention. That's it. If you care about the information and the result of people reading it, then just put it out there and shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like if there is I don't know. You're probably not that religious. I'm not that religious. It's not going to bother me one way or another. In fact, I want to believe that I'm very Mulder on this issue. I want to believe that there's something else better happening out there than, fighting about who's more racist than the other here on this planet. Because if that's all we can do with our species, then fuck me, I'm not put me on another planet by myself. I don't give a fuck.
I'm not super religious. I mean, I grew up in a religious household. I probably went to church every Sunday until age 12. I like to believe I'm spiritual in some fashion. I'm more into following your intuition and a little bit of spirituality, a little bit of, astrology. I think there's all something to it. And it's a big melting pot of things that I believe. I think there's something bigger. I think there's a bigger consciousness out there. I just don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the fire and brimstone stuff that we learned in church. I don't know.
You sure about that? You're willing to go on record?
That say I don't know shit? Yeah, I'll go on record and say I don't know fuck about shit.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey, me too.
So when it comes to this idea that aliens could be here, they could be interacting with the U.S. government, they could be doing whatever, and they don't want to release the information, I believe, because of technology, because of very interesting technology that could change the way the whole entire global economy works. What happens if fossil fuels are no longer necessary? Well, that's a big fucking $billion-a-year industry, if not how multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry for all the oil companies combined. They don't want to give up that sweet, sweet loot.
I think that's the biggest thing, keeping any of this stuff from anybody, is that let's look at what happened to PewDiePie. Let's look at what's happening to some of the biggest YouTubers right now. They're being attacked by some of the biggest mainstream journalists, and news outlets, if you want to call them that. I mean, and they're making fools of themselves to anybody who's younger than 35 years old. Wall Street Journal goes after PewDiePie, calls him a Nazi, says he's a hater and a racist and all this stuff. I think anybody who is a fan of PewDiePie can watch this guy and go, what's wrong with the Wall Street Journal?
Yeah.
I don't think they understand jokes.
Exactly.
And what are they afraid of? They might have to change their business model and not just repeat what the CIA is telling them to.
Well, what would you think would happen to a person who accidentally stumbled upon some kind of revolutionary technology that could fundamentally undermine fossil fuel? They would shut that down at any and all costs as a threat to national security.
The water car, right? The water car guy and all these other things. Even Tom Hanks was bragging about the electric car.
Yeah.
What, 30 years ago or something?
Tom
and they crushed all those.
Ed Begley Jr. was all over that too. He put a whole documentary called "Who Killed the Electric Car." It kind of leads me into, oh my God, my keyboard fell. Oh my God.
Oh God, everybody, please look out. Is anybody a nurse or a doctor?
Man, when I was 12 years old.
Oh, he's a man. Never mind.
I have some clips here from a documentary called The Joe Cell.
Oh God. Don't make this about me. Everything's about me.
No, it's not about you, Joe.
This is just incredible information, Joe.
This is about this little half hour documentary on YouTube is about some Australian redneck who happened to come up with this device, this canister of water put together in these series of tubes with magnetics placed in a certain way that is able to power a car without any gas and without any water loss, only through this release of only what I can call some kind of magnetic interaction that he was able to generate. And I have some clips here. And there's a whole documentary up there. This is about free energy now. This is about this weird technology that has been stumbled across. And I'll play this right now for you. It's called, you can look it up on YouTube. It's called The Story of the Joe Cell. I recommend everyone watch it. It's only 25 minutes to a half hour. It's worth your time. It's very interesting.
The Joe cell is the name given to a special type of hydrogen fuel cell. This fuel cell is said to allow any combustion engine on the planet to run on water.
In 92, we bought a V8 Rover from the wreckers. Petrol at that stage was 42 cents a litre. Government always tells the truth. They said the petrol never ever exceed 42 cents a litre. 1 week later, after we had the car on the road, it had hit 53 and rising quickly. I just went, grabbed this stainless steel from the scrapyards, threw it all together into some weird order. I don't even know why, how, or anything. But on a Friday afternoon, which was my son's birthday, the 9th of October, I threw it onto a car. This was on the Rover, this cell. Now, I didn't hook it up to the carburetor, to the intake. I don't even know why I put it where I put it. But it ended up going, hooking up plain straight water through these neutral plates onto heat exchange on the 79 Rover SD 13500, not fuel injected, just carburetor. Disconnected all the fuel lines, all the fuel, everything else. Disconnected them, not left them on, pulled them all off. Hit the key, damn thing run.
All right. So that kind of sets up what this, he doesn't know why he built what he built, but it somehow works. And this next clip kind of explains this Joe cell a little bit more in detail. I keep using your name, Joe, but you're a very big part of this cell.
Oh, God.
You got some very important cells over there.
That's right.
The Joe cell, as used by its creator, takes quite a tangent from logic. Rather than feeding the hydrogen into the carburetor, the pipe is stoppered at the end and inserted into a piece of plastic tube. The engine is tuned into the Joe cell frequency, allowing it to run on a universal power some call 0-point energy. However, the scientific community call it pure fantasy, and never the twain shall meet.
What we're doing is setting up a frequency generator. This thing here seems to output something what tunes in the vehicle and makes it run.
The car that runs on water is not actually running on water.
No, it's running on an energy created by the water. That's the way I see it.
They don't use water.
Can't possibly be running the water because the outlet from the cell is connected to a dead end.
I didn't understand why the vehicle seemed to start and run perfectly when nobody else seems to be able to hit it. This stuff works very strangely.
So I just went on and did different cars, probably 20 or 30 cars.
So this guy doesn't know why it works. He's just Australian redneck, and he stumbled across this technology. He hooked it up to his car. It works, and he doesn't know why. There's no water loss. There's no it's like they're pumping something out of the water that's going to cause the water to lose mass. It's just somehow, however he constructed this device, there's some kind of frequency and magnetic interaction that produces.
Well, it's. I would assume it's working on separate. It's an atomizer or something like that. You got hydrogen, you've got oxygen. Both of them are combustible. Separating them would be very difficult. Hydrogen, we know, though, has been used as a fuel device. Oxygen, in certain forms, can be very flammable.
Yeah,
and it is the fuel of fire. So you could literally have no output by igniting hydrogen.
But there's no ignition here.
Combustible.
There's format. No ignition. This guy disconnected all the hoses, everything. There's no fire involved. When you see this thing, He's literally got a canister with the tube hooked up to his engine. It starts. He's had other people drive it. He's given it away to some people to test. It's gone nowhere. Academia doesn't want anything to do with it because in their mind, it's impossible. And this guy just, has a free car, like no gas, doesn't pay for gas anymore, doesn't have to worry about it. And you think about it, 70% of our planet is made or is water. It's not made out of water. It is water, at least the surface. So if he has one little canister here, can you imagine how much that would undermine the fossil fuel industry, the electric industry, anything, everything?
Well, let's think about it. It's called the petrodollar for a reason.
Yeah.
You can't have free energy. You can't have solar power. You can't have wind power. And this is not a right or left issue, to go back to what we were talking about earlier. Both Democrats and Republicans, go out to Nevada. They want to raise solar panel pricing like 60, 80% tax rates or some crazy bullshit. I can't remember what it was. But, and a lot of those folks out there are Democrats. They're letting hookers run around. That's fine. I like hookers. They're great. But they're all against getting rid of the petrodollar because, of course, that would make America less hegemonic. I don't know. I don't know what that would mean.
There has to be a fundamental change in what we want as a human race. Do we want to always keep doing the same thing over and over again? Do we always want to be divided? Do we always want to be right? Or are you willing to humble yourself and say, you know what I once believed might not be correct, so let's try a new way?
Ask a billionaire that. Yeah, ask a billionaire. Hey, the way I've been making money off the military-industrial complex and all these oil bribes, right and left, by the way. People tend to think like, oh, it's only Republicans who do it. No, everybody's in it. They would all have to go, I'm going to have to forgo my, what is like, not Nancy Pelosi, but John McCain and Feinstein. They both became like double-digit, what is it, millionaires or billionaires?
Probably they're not billionaires. They're millionaires. And I mean, Congress people should not be millionaires by way of being in Congress.
They've been in Congress for several, for what, decades? 40 years.
Oh, McCain's been there since the 1700s. He fought in the Revolutionary War.
That's right. And so, these people, it's like public service, my fucking dick. Get the fuck out of there, you old coot.
They don't give up. They don't care about the world population, let alone the American people.
And they don't care about pollution. They don't care about global warming, and they don't care about energy or fossil fuels or any of that shit.
And I'll wrap up this free energy segment with this last little clip here about other people who have stumbled across incredible technology and what has happened to them.
Stan Meyer, we first heard about him in the early 90s. He had a Volkswagen dune buggy operating on a fuel cell, 100% efficiency. So I went over to visit him and see his factory in Columbus, Ohio. He not only had cars and buses running on this fuel cell, he actually had a Commander 13-seat jet. So Stan Meyer said he wasn't too afraid of the powers that be, and he was going to go ahead and develop his fuel cells anyway, especially since he had discovered the frequency which would split water easily. But unfortunately, he was eating in a restaurant. He got up. He said, "I've been poisoned." He walked outside. He keeled over and he died. Within 2 years, we had lost 3 major inventors. We lost Bruce De Palma, we lost Stanley Meyer, and we lost Yul Brown. So even to this day, this fuel cell research is not strictly legal and not allowed to come out.
There you go.
Wow.
Columbus, Ohio, right there.
Not even that surprising. Yeah, you know what? I would appreciate if you went and visited with his family or something like that if he was out there and see how true this you think it is. I do tend to believe this. I do tend to believe, I mean, when you go back far enough, the CIA is an instrument of the banking and military industrial complex. So these people will do everything they can because it's all based on hegemony. If you played the game Risk, this is basically the intelligence network of the game Risk. It's all very cartoonish in the board game. And these people, they find great ways to murder people. And goddamn, doesn't surprise me. This is a good segment. This is very informative.
Well, so there's a lot of money to be made off the status quo, keeping things kind of the way they are. So it's very predictable. So you know how people are going to react. You know that you have a guarantee that, hey, X amount of people are going to buy this amount of gas every fucking week. And you can make good projections on that. You can make investments off that. So why not keep everything the same and suppress technology so humanity will never be elevated? So you won't have poor people have free energy. If you have free energy, or let's just say energy that costs 1/100th of what it costs right now, then they might have more money for education or food. What you're doing is you're taking away a vice from them.
They might not need handouts and the government.
Yes, exactly. And so they might not have to rely on somebody else. This suppression of this kind of technology is preventing people from being free. And so they're forced to do it in some other ways. I mean, they're forced to lash out.
We saw this though, like we talked about it a little bit earlier with the YouTube stuff. But if people who are as old as you and I are can think just
I don't know about you. I'm 17, dude.
You are a 17-year-old.
Hey, I'm a 17-year-old. I love YouTube. I love PewDiePie. All right, I'm a 17-year-old.
So yeah, we talked about PewDiePie. Mike and I are the same age. He's actually a little older, by the way. Anyway, we're young enough, old enough, I don't know how you would say it, to remember what a resistance there was for the record label industry to go after and basically the distribution network for music to go after MP3s. Remember when MP3s started to gain popularity? It started to look like the business model of selling tapes and CDs, because they were still selling tapes, by the way. CDs, I think, is a little more believable, but they were still selling tapes and CDs when MP3s started to become popular. And the record labels thrashed and violently opposed anything that looked like, oh my God, you're just going to be able to get this at any moment? And you can get one song at a time? Really?
Yeah.
Like, this was like horror for them. And how many businesses, there are a ton of different, didn't Capitol Records go out of business fighting this shit?
A lot of records. I mean, the issue is, yeah, they suffered some losses. I think Capitol Records is still there in some fashion. They definitely have a back catalog, but the issue is people are still spending money on music. So where's all this money going? I mean, you still spend money on music. I still buy music.
But they were afraid that they weren't going to buy the tapes and the CDs anymore.
Sure.
They were like, oh, are they going to buy these MP3s? And it's like, yeah. Like, they'll still buy them. Like, you just have to make it available. But they were like, well, no. I don't know if you remember this. This is the early 2000s. And when iTunes was talking about, oh, we're going to, sell MP3s online. And they were like, well, you can't sell MP3. And you could only play Apple Music on the Apple Music player and all this. And it was like a whole thing. And I'll give Steve Jobs a lot of credit for this, because he was like, look, we'll put a digital rights management code inside of the file so that these things can only be played on our devices. So we want to have, Steve Jobs was literally a pioneer in this thing, and he does deserve some credit, because he was able to convince some of the record companies and some of the biggest labels to say, in YouTube, whatever you think about him, like, we'll protect it. You can just put it out on our thing and no one else can play it because and then they made converters and all this other shit. But it's the same thing as everything else. It's like Blu-ray, oh, it's uncopyable. Yeah, up until someone copies it. Like, all this shit gets released somehow. And these businesses, these failure businesses, these oil industries, these record labels, all these motherfuckers are just hanging on to these dipshit business models that really just keep humanity back. And it's the same thing that keeps water technology from fueling our vehicles back.
Yeah.
It's all the same fucking people.
It is. It's the same mentality. A resistance to change. A resistance of just accepting, wow, this is better. We should start using it. We should embrace it. But no, that's not how businesses work. Businesses resist change at any and all cost. People resist change. It's just human nature.
We got a model here, man.
Yeah, people resist change. People are not open to these ideas. It's very difficult to tell somebody, hey, you're fired, because that's a big change, you know? It's a big fucking change to say it and to accept it. No.
Oh my God! Is this why Jeff is not on the show today? Is because you're letting me go at the end of the show?
No.
You piece of shit.
Oh God damn it! I know it.
Fools. That's what I do.
No, what I'm saying is people are resistant to change. It's human nature to resist change, and it's even rarer to embrace it. But there's a better technology here. There's something going on, and they're obviously willing to kill people. And billions of dollars is definitely enough money to kill people. People kill people over $50, PlayStation, shoes, anything. So yeah, if you don't think that a presidency or $1 billion is enough to kill over you, then I think you're fucking fooling yourself. Yeah, it absolutely is.
Good segment, dude. That was highly. I mean, I love that. That was all encompassing.
Try to wrap it all around a little bit. But it is that time of the show, Joe. We got to get some headlines here, please.
Get out of here.
We got to get out of here in a little bit. It might be a little bit of a shorter show, but let's go to some news.
Now it's time for the motherfucking. I will suck your dick. I will suck your fucking dick. I will do it. Just join my team. I'll suck your dick. You can fuck me.